We talked previously about Republican Senator Mitt Romney and the fact that he is preparing to retire. And as he prepares to do so, he's even more willing than he was in the past to call out his own party and specifically call out Trump and the way that Trump and MAGA more broadly has taken down the GOP with it. And in the eyes of Mitt Romney has caused a situation where the GOP doesn't live up to what Mitt Romney feels it can be and the principles it could have. And it's always important to say that I have huge, severe policy differences with Mitt Romney. And those shouldn't be ignored. Those failures in his policy positions as I perceive them are real and matter and impact people's lives. But when talking about the difference between him and some of these MAGA Republicans, it's worlds of difference. And we should wish that when people hold policy differences that are very different from us, at least they have a basic respect, as Mitt Romney does, for the Constitution, for democracy, and is willing to, when individuals get into his party who don't respect those things, call it out. And that's what he's doing. And he's made it clear he's not going to support Donald Trump in 2024, no matter what, and said this during a recent interview.
Well, I'm not going to be supporting President Trump, former President Trump, under any circumstance. I happen to believe that character is destiny, and I believe that a number of his personality and character flaws are, ones that would make it impossible for me to support him. Well, I'm not.
And I think character flaws, he's worded it better in the past, kind of minimizes what we're talking about here, attempting to overthrow our democratic process, all things that Mitt Romney has articulated in the past. And then more from this interview on Trump.
I think it's fair to say that there has been a decline in respect and comedy among the elected class, that the rise of populism and demagoguery has been a little alarming. It's hard for me to recognize some aspects of my own party. I mean, some of the foundational principles of my party. One, that character was critical. Why, we sort of thrown character to the side. If Donald Trump does it, it's all just fine. We as a party were also the party of strong national defense and pushing back against Russia. And what are we doing? We've got Trump and Putin acting like they're buddies, and Trump calling Kim Jong-un, sending him a love letter. I mean, it's hard to recognize.
He doesn't even recognize. He was the face of the Republican Party just a few years ago, was the nominee for President of the United States in 2012. And now can't even recognize that party. I will say this is a complete unrelated side note, or it's not relevant to our important conversation. But Mitt Romney's 76. How on earth does he look this good? 76 years old. That's pretty stunning. Anyways. But more importantly, if we had all individuals who at least checked the box of basic respect for the Constitution, democracy, and basic principles, and at least they tried to stick to their principles, and just basic character, then all of our policy differences, they matter. And I would want to defeat Mitt Romney Republicans in elections, and we would have those clashes, but within a healthy political environment that won't always go the way we want it to, but will stay somewhat stable and sort of on track, and we can continue battling it out through a democratic process. That's what you want. But once you get away from that, some scary things can happen, as we've seen and as we're afraid of for the future. One more thing from this interview from Mitt Romney, just on the subject of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And a lot of people within his party now are against supporting Ukraine as they're being invaded. And here's what he had to say.
So what do you say to those then, including figures in your own party, who say it's too expensive for America to keep supporting Ukraine in the way that it has?
There are a lot of excuses that populists have to do what they want to do, but the idea that it's too expensive is a little funny. We spend about $850 billion a year on defense. We're using about 5% of that to help Ukraine. My goodness, to defend freedom, and to decimate the Russian military, a country with 1,500 nuclear weapons aimed at us, to be able to do that with 5% of your military budget strikes me as an extraordinarily wise investment and not by any means something we can't afford.
Especially coming from those within the Republican Party who are never opposed to the military budget, it's strange to see them turn around and say the amount we're sending to Ukraine for what is obviously international security interests. I've done deeper dives in the past you can find on the channel, but is too much to spend on that. And also, it really bothers me when individuals who vote against every single social spending initiative, such as many of these MAGA Republicans, and want to gut those programs, say the reason I can't support funding to Ukraine is because there are people who need help in our country, obviously, and we want to do both. You're the one who blocks helping the people in our country. So while we try to figure out how to get you out of office so that we can help more people in this country by spending the resources of the government, then can we also support Ukraine in the meantime? It's really bonkers and aggravating. But Mitt Romney there, able to articulate why many within his party, and on the left too, there are lots as well, are wrong on Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show and get a bonus show on the weekends, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership, and there's a link in the description.